On the afternoon of November 24, 1971, a quiet man walked into Portland International Airport carrying nothing more than a briefcase. He purchased a one-way ticket to Seattle under the name Dan Cooper. No one at the airport had any idea that this ordinary-looking passenger was about to commit one of the most famous unsolved crimes in American history. The man was described as being in his mid-40s, around 6 feet tall, wearing a dark business suit, a white shirt, a black tie, and sunglasses. He appeared calm, polite, and confident. Nothing about him seemed suspicious. After boarding Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, he ordered a bourbon and soda while the plane prepared for takeoff. The flight carried 36 passengers and 6 crew members. It was supposed to be a routine 30-minute journey from Portland to Seattle. A few minutes after takeoff, Cooper quietly handed a folded note to a flight attendant named Florence Schaffner. At first, she assumed it was another passenger trying to flirt with her. She placed the note in her pocket without reading it. Cooper leaned closer and calmly said, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb." Shocked, Florence unfolded the paper. The message demanded that she sit beside him. When she did, Cooper slowly opened his briefcase just enough for her to see several red cylinders connected by wires and a battery. Whether it was a real bomb or not has never been confirmed. Cooper calmly explained his demands. He wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. If his demands were met, no one would be harmed. The captain immediately contacted air traffic control, and the FBI was notified. As the aircraft continued flying toward Seattle, authorities rushed to gather the ransom money. Every bill was carefully photographed so its serial numbers could be traced later. Meanwhile, passengers had no idea that they were sitting on a hijacked airplane. Cooper remained remarkably calm throughout the flight. He even paid for his drink and politely thanked the crew. When the plane landed in Seattle, the authorities followed his instructions exactly. The passengers were safely released. The money and 4 parachutes were brought aboard. Now only Cooper and a small flight crew remained on the aircraft. But the mystery was only beginning. Cooper ordered the pilots to fly toward Mexico City. He instructed them to keep the aircraft flying at a low altitude, with the landing gear partially lowered and the cabin unpressurized. These unusual instructions surprised experienced pilots, suggesting Cooper knew something about aviation. As the Boeing 727 flew through the dark, rainy skies over the Pacific Northwest, military fighter jets secretly followed from a distance. Inside the cabin, Cooper calmly tied the money bag to himself. Around 8 p.m., a warning light inside the cockpit indicated that the aircraft's rear staircase had been lowered. A few minutes later, the plane suddenly lurched upward. The crew called Cooper through the intercom. There was no response. When the aircraft finally landed in Reno, Nevada, the rear staircase was still open. But Cooper was gone. He had jumped into the freezing darkness carrying $200,000 in cash. The FBI immediately launched one of the largest investigations in its history. Agents searched forests, rivers, mountains, and remote wilderness across Washington state. Helicopters scanned thousands of square miles. Search teams found nothing. No parachute, no body, no trace of D.B. Cooper. The mystery only deepened. Years later, in 1980, an 8-year-old boy named Brian Ingram made a shocking discovery while digging in the sand along the Columbia River. He uncovered several bundles of decaying $20 bills. Investigators confirmed the serial numbers matched part of Cooper's ransom money, but only about $5,800 was ever recovered. The remaining money simply disappeared. Over the decades, hundreds of theories have emerged. Some believe Cooper died during the dangerous jump because of the freezing weather, heavy rain, and rough terrain. Others argue that his detailed knowledge of aircraft and parachutes suggests he was an experienced military paratrooper who survived and escaped. Many suspects have been investigated: former soldiers, skydivers, professional criminals, even airline employees. Yet none could be conclusively linked to the hijacking. One strange detail added even more confusion. The hijacker bought his ticket under the name Dan Cooper. But due to an early newspaper reporting error, the media mistakenly called him D.B. Cooper. The incorrect name became famous around the world and remains associated with the case today. For more than 4 decades, the FBI continued investigating every possible lead. Thousands of tips poured in from across America and beyond. Every promising suspect eventually reached a dead end. In 2016, after 45 years of investigation, the FBI officially suspended active efforts to solve the case, although the mystery remains open if new evidence is discovered. To this day, no one knows the true identity of D.B. Cooper. No one knows whether he survived the jump. No one knows where the missing money went. His disappearance has inspired countless books, documentaries, films, and conspiracy theories. Some see him as a fearless outlaw. Others believe he was simply a criminal who vanished into history. But one fact remains undeniable. On a rainy November night in 1971, a mysterious man hijacked an airplane, collected $200,000, parachuted into the darkness, and disappeared without a trace. More than 50 years later, the mystery of D.B. Cooper remains one of America's greatest unsolved cases, and perhaps the only successful airplane hijacking in history where the hijacker was never found.